Africa is home to a third of the world's primate species.
Uganda happens to be the primate capital of the world. It's very easy to see primates in Uganda. We have the perfect habitat for primates.
And they help out in a series of ecosystem activities like dispersal of seeds, pollination and all that.
Most of them are frugivores. That means they feed on fruit. And when they feed on this fruit, they transfer the seed from one location to another in the forest. And also the fact that some of these seeds must be eaten and pass through the guts of wild primates to be able to germinate.
These primates are also tourism assets that are being promoted for ecotourism experiences in Uganda, and we work very closely with Uganda Wildlife Authority and other conservation organizations in Uganda to ensure that the practice is ecotourism, not just mass tourism, and this is something we definitely as Uganda Tourism Board support, and it's an experience that gives back to the local community and to the environment.
We manage 10 national parks and 12 wildlife reserves. A good number of them have quite a number of primates. In the national parks and wildlife reserves, the primates are basically safe. The population is either stable or growing.
NFA is one of the conservation agencies in Uganda. By the fact that we manage forest reserves means we are managing habitat for these primates. If you hear about the Bugoma Central Forest Reserve, which is 41,000 hectares, Budongo Forest Reserve, which is the biggest in the country, is 81,000 hectares, twice the size of Bugoma. Mabira, which is 30,000 hectares. We have Kalinzu, where we have the chimpanzees, we are doing it for tourism. All these are big forests where we have different species of primates.
We generally have an abundance of 15 species of primates: the mountain gorilla, chimpanzees, red colobus monkey, black and white colobus monkey, red-tailed monkey, grey-cheeked mangabe, louse monkey, blue monkey, olive baboon, bush baby, debraza monkey, poto, golden monkey, vervet monkey, patas monkey, which is found in a savanna habitat in Kidepo.
The primates are important in research. Many researchers come from all over the world to study primates in Africa. In Uganda, for example, we have researchers from Europe, or countries like UK, countries like Belgium.
And while you protect primates and their habitats, you automatically protect many of the species sharing the habitats of primates.
"60% of the primate species worldwide are threatened with extinction due to poaching, habitat destruction and disease, amongst others."
The greatest threat for primates is habitat destruction. The areas where they live are being destroyed, like the forests, and some of the savanna habitats are being destroyed. This is because people are cutting down trees, people are encroaching, they're taking over the forest to build or to graze cattle.
The habitats for primates has greatly reduced. So primates are finding a way into the human territory, and that is what has caused things to do with human-wildlife conflicts. So you find primates in people's gardens, and then people end up doing a series of activities like poaching on the primates, trapping them or killing them, which wouldn't have been if people had respected the habitats for these primates.
In Kibale National Park, for example, there is a famous program known as the snare removal program, where they remove traps that people use to trap other animals, but primates get trapped by these traps that are set up.
We have the issue of bushmeat still remains a big problem in Africa based on the culture of the different African people. We have issue of disease. We are seeing a lot of disease outbreaks in different locations.
It's the biggest threat, especially to the great apes, because we share over 98% genetic material with gorillas, mountain gorillas and chimpanzees, and we can make each other sick. So everything we get, they can get. Everything they get, we can get. It's easier for us to go to the doctor than for them to go to the doctor. And so disease is a very big issue. And they're also threatened by the pet trade. People like taking primates, making them as pets, which in most cases is a very, very bad idea. Because especially when they're little, they're nice and cute, but once they get big, they become very dangerous. Some of them use them for entertainment, which is very sad.
You are aware the population of Uganda is one of the fastest growing in the world, with a growth rate of over 3% per annum. In the quest for land, for agriculture, for the biomass fuel, and then even mining is becoming another threat, because you are aware we have also discovered oil in some of these areas. Land fragmentation due to increasing population, quest for agriculture. So all this is a threat to primate conservation in the country.
All these factors that I can consider as direct factors of primate population loss are driven by many factors like political instability in some countries, where I would say laws are not always well elaborated or not enforced.
Despite Africa being home to a third of the world's primate species, there is a lack of African leadership in primate research and conservation. Furthermore, native African participation in international forums remains limited and disproportionately low, primarily due to the prohibitive costs of participation.
Despite the many resources we have, in terms of the natural resources, the gold, the forest, the water, we have not harnessed them to a level that brings us the money, the dollar, that does the work. And therefore, in many countries, it is more of survival rather than conservation and protection.
When you look at it in a more broad sense, you find that the main reason is that the funds available for primate research and or to train people in primatology in Africa have been limited.
It's with this knowledge that the African Primatological Society was founded. APS is a non-political, non-sectarian, non-governmental and non-profit-making conservation membership-based body devoted to the study and conservation of African primates.
The African Primatological Society was started in 2016 to build African leadership for primatology. It is affiliated to the International Primate Society. The reason why we started APS is because we realized that at a lot of the conferences we'd go to, like the International Primate Society conference, we would find that people are talking about primates, many of which are in Africa, but there are very few Africans who are able to attend these conferences. A lot of the reason is that they are not able to find the money to attend the conferences, or they were not leading the research efforts, so they were not being able to attend the conference, or they were not leading the conservation effort. The efforts are being led by people who are from other countries where the primates are not found. These same people who are working in primatology in their countries, when they don't have leadership positions within their organizations or within their research efforts, they will end up moving on to something else.
The conference that we are having, the African Primatological Society, coming together to discuss and look at the challenges of managing primates, is at the right time for Uganda, because it will inform our course of action to ensure that these primates are protected.
African Primatological Society is a great initiative, which I think will go a long way to support the conservation of primates in Africa. It's a society which is being driven by the Africans. It will help a lot in getting the Africans networking and getting to do things for themselves, build the capacity of the younger ones coming up, and inspiring the younger generation to take on the responsibility of primate conservation.
The forum provides a platform for sharing ideas. The different stakeholders that come, that include conservation managers, conservation researchers, and policymakers, share ideas, and in the process this can inform policy.
We really need these partnerships. If during such meetings you meet different people, you meet the donor community, you meet the range states, these are the states where we have these primates, the different primates, you come together, you share ideas, you share the challenges which you are facing, you chart way forward for the common good of a species.
The African Primatological Society hopes that through its biennial conferences, it can improve knowledge of the advances and constraints in primatology, enabling a brighter future for primates in Africa.
We need to have a homegrown conservation movement to be able to make sure that these primates numbers can grow. The very first conference was held in 2017 in Ivory Coast, in Bingerville, and it was hosted by Dr. Inza Kone, who became the president of African Primatological Society. I was made the vice president from Uganda. We have somebody on the team. We have the secretary general who's from Cameroon, the treasurer from Ivory Coast, and the communication secretary from South Africa. Because on the executive committee, we have people who are native Africans, and we want to make sure that they come from different parts of Africa.
Many big international NGOs have been active in Africa for several years, but the impact of all these efforts remains limited. There is not a critical mass of Africans that can play important roles in these international bodies to influence decisions, and this critical mass is also needed to, I would say, impact policies. We need to work on this, and this is one of the major goals of the African Primatological Society.
We need to work together, everybody of us in Uganda, in Africa, to ensure that we improve our ability to conserve.
What we would like to see is that they continue to be there in sustainable numbers that are not declining in their natural ecosystems.
Please visit the website apsuganda.africanprimatologicalsociety.org and see how you can be part of the homegrown movement of primate conservation and research. And you can support it, be part of it, become a member of African Primate Society, give a donation. This society has people from all over Africa. At the conference, we're going to have delegates from over 30 countries, and it's really, really exciting.